Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Season A, the platform where we speak truth to power. And the picture you see here are two of our heroes, our legends. That's Oloye Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu. Both of them have been illegally imprisoned by the failed governance, the corrupt governance that we have in Contraction 9. Contraption 419, I should say, Contraption 419. They've both been illegally arrested, and we continue to speak to all of us, encourage Igbos and Yorubas and Middle Beltons to speak up, because for as long as they are arrested and being prevented from going about their normal business in that contraption, we are all imprisoned. We are prisoners of our conscience, because what they're doing is by imprisoning them, they're trying to frighten many of us to not stand up for our own right, for our right to self-determination. Nnamdi Kanu is speaking up for and demanding that the people's voices be heard via a referendum. Likewise, Oloye Igboho. Oloye Igboho, to date, has done nothing wrong, has never done anything wrong. He has always advocated for one thing: the freedom of Yoruba people, our right to life, protection of Yoruba people against the incessant killing from the bandits, for the Fulani terrorists, Boko Haram, ISWAP, whatever you want to call them. He's spoken up for his people. And for speaking up, the government of the day have effectively imprisoned him in Cotonou. We now ask on President Talon of Benin to do the needful and free Oloye Igboho. He has done nothing wrong. President Talon should ask the president of Nigeria and the entire government of Nigeria, why is it that the two men that they illegally killed in the home of Oloye Igboho, and that is Afar and Adoga. Afar was a blind man who comes to Oloye Igboho's house. Adoga is a business partner of Oloye Igboho, both of whom were illegally killed by the federal government of Nigeria. That have been they've had an award against them, the court judgment against the federal government for the legal entry into the house of Oloye Igboho. Yet, President Talon of Benin is not taking all of these clear transgressions by the Nigerian government into account, when illegally he is supporting this fraudulent governance, a governance that is imposed the fraudulent constitution on millions of Nigerians without a referendum. Supporting that government is actually an injustice. It's a crime against humanity. I am sure President Talon doesn't want to get involved in that. We speak collectively as Igbos and Yorubas and Middle Beltons that these two men that you see in the picture behind me, Oloye Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu, they must both be released. And the Nigerian government has had 1 billion judgment against them. Yes, we know they're likely to appeal. Again, look at what's happening with Oloye Igboho, this picture should also be here. The only difference is that he's not in jail. He's being held in Abuja. I mean, what kind of archaic nonsense is this? A man who is speaking up for his people, Oloye Igboho, is being prevented from moving outside of Abuja because they want to a government that refuses to comply with its own constitution. That tells us all we need to know. Nnamdi Kanu was illegally renditioned from Kenya, and to date, the international community have not addressed this issue and forced the Nigerian government to release Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu is speaking up for referendum. Oloye Igboho is speaking up for referendum. Likewise, Oloye Igboho. And we all stand together with the three of them. We stand fully behind Oloye Igboho as Yoruba people. We stand fully with Igbo people as they stand with Nnamdi Kanu. What we are speaking for here, what we are saying here is that the government of the day has been engaged in oppressing and suppressing the citizens that they are meant to serve. Our voices as citizens has been silenced by way of an imposition of a fraudulent constitution that is no more than what is Promulgation Decree number 24 of 1999. Our voices has been silenced since the day June 12, 1993, the day democracy died in Nigeria. The people who impose themselves on us, the likes of Babangida, the likes of Abacha, the likes of Abdul Salam, the likes of all of these people that have imposed a fraudulent constitution where they've taken away the people's right to their birthright, their land. The government of the day wrote into a constitution the 68 exclusive items, ensuring in part number 39 of that item, I think 39 or 36, where it talks about that the mining and exploration of gas and everything else is centralized. And the people who are living in those areas don't have access to those resources. That is why we're saying we have a right to self-determination. And we support Oloye Sunday Igboho 100%. We support Nnamdi Kanu 100%. And we will not relent until these two men are freed. They have done nothing wrong. They are the symbols. These two men you see in the picture, they are the symbols of the oppression that the people of contraction Nigeria, the Yorubas, the Igbos, and the Middle Beltans. They are the symbols of the oppression that we face on a daily basis. I urge you now, those of you watching, if this resonates with you, please share this broadcast. Make it go viral. Tell people about it. We mustn't be silent. I applaud those who are out in London today protesting, demanding the release of Oloye Sunday Igboho. I applaud those who have been out in countless times, who are protesting and demanding the release of Nnamdi Kanu. I applaud all of those who are working to ensure that the voice of the people is heard by way of a referendum. Referendum is the only way to go. If we also at this point must strongly consider the option of taking our government, this Nigerian government, the contractual Nigerian government, to court for infringing our human rights, our voices, our right to determine what kind of governance we want, our right to determine the kind of laws we want by a way of a referendum has been denied to us by the government, this fraudulent governance for over 22 years. Every single president that's going to come in since the 25th of May 1999 fraudulent constitution imposed on us by Abdul Salam, every single president has to swear on oath to protect this fraudulent constitution. Under that basis, any elections that is held now would mean that the person who is going to be the next president, who is already been selected, let's not kid ourselves, it's been selected. And whoever is selected to be the next president will again swear on oath to protect this fraudulent constitution. And that is why we must reject it. We speak. We stand for Oloye Sunday Igboho 100%. We stand for Nnamdi Kanu 100%. And we say together, it's time for you and I to work together, do what is necessary. If we can find a way to raise funds, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that, but let's get some ideas together to take this governance to court. Because every day, for every single day that we allow the fraudulent constitution to continue to dominate and ruin and oppress and suppress us in our daily lives, we are allowing injustice to pervade and to determine the future of the coming generation of citizens. We say no more. We must work together. We must work together with Oloye Sunday Igboho. We demand the unconditional release of Oloye Sunday Igboho. He has done nothing wrong. The government of the day cannot even provide two bodies of the men they killed in the house of Oloye Sunday Igboho, in the illegal entry into his house and the killing of two men and destroying his property, where the government is even refusing to pay the fine, pay the court fees and the judgment of follow the judgment of the courts as laid down by the court in that contraption called Nigeria. What does that tell you? Nnamdi Kanu again, he's won 1 billion naira. We know they will probably going to appeal. Again, they are not complying with their own laws, and they tell us to believe in contraction Nigeria. If the government of the day will not comply with its own laws, so-called laws, what does that tell you about our rights as citizens? Those two men, the two men that they've reached to release their body, Adoga, may his soul rest in peace, and Afar, those two men, they signify the daily oppression of our people. Even in death, the government of Nigeria is treating our people with disrespect, particularly Southerners. I am yet to see any Fulani man, Gumi and others, who have been championing the cause of terrorism, are walking around free. They are getting police protection. And this is why we're saying enough is enough. We need to work together, support Oloye Sunday Igboho. We stand fully behind Oloye Sunday Igboho. We stand fully behind Nnamdi Kanu. We urge us all to continue to put in all our efforts, combine our efforts to clamor for, to go for referendum now. We have the right to life, the right to safety and protection. The government of the day has abdicated its responsibility in providing safety and security, which is their primary purpose for the people of contraction Nigeria. Most especially those of us in the south, we are being killed without any prosecution being handed down to the terrorists, the bandits, the ISWAP, the Boko Haram that are terrorizing people all over the country. And our farmers that have been killed have not been compensated. This is why we support Oloye Sunday Igboho, we support Nnamdi Kanu, and we say we must continue to go for and demand for referendum. We need to work out a way whereby we need to take this government to international court for infringing our collective human rights, in refusing to allow our voices to be heard via a referendum. The people's voice, our nation, the sovereignty belongs to the people. Our voice has been collectively ignored since 24th of May 1999, and we need to put an end to that. By the only way we can do that is to raise the level of awareness about the injustice that we are facing collectively as Southerners in our own land. A government that has written in a law to prevent Southerners from having access to our own resources. It's controlled from the center, and yet the same government cannot provide us water, light, road, schools, bridges, healthcare, safety and security. Just a few days ago in Lagos, there are 2 million children on the street, not in school. Then that so-called Governor Sanwo-Olu now gives 2 scholarships to 2 out of 2 million children. And we should hail him. This is all about electioneering. Don't fall for it. We need to continue to demand for the release of Oloye Sunday Igboho and the release of Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally in both counts. And also, the government must let Omoyele Sowore, they must free him to be able to go about his business any part of that country. A government that refuses to comply with the rule of law is not a government we want to be part of. And for as long as we allow that fraudulent constitution, which is nothing more than promulgation decree number 24 of 1999, to impose this injustice on us, we are impacting the lives of the coming generation. Look at our children these days. They are now resorting to killing each other for so-called rituals. There is no such thing as ritual in our spirituality, by the way. There isn't. This is like a bastardization of our own culture, something we must really work against. And in going for Yoruba Nation, in going for Igbo Nation, in going for Middle Belt, we can begin to take control back of our land and our future, and the destiny of the coming generation will be in our hands, because we will be able to run our own affairs for the first time, perhaps ever, since 1899. Since 1899, we are slaves in our own land. So I once again urge you all, those of you watching this broadcast, please share. We must speak up. We must support Oloye Sunday Igboho 100%. We must support Nnamdi Kanu. Continue to demand for their unconditional release. They have done nothing wrong. Gumi and others and the likes of him, the sponsors, those who are sponsoring Boko Haram and ISWAP, the government knows them. They haven't released their pictures. Notice how as soon as they went in and illegally arrested the people who are in Oloye Sunday Igboho's house and in Nnamdi Kanu, they plaster their pictures all over the news. But now they say they found the sponsors, those who are supporting terror in contraction Nigeria, who are Fulanis. But we don't see the pictures. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? This government is sponsoring and supporting terrorism to Fulanize the entire contraption called Nigeria. It is time for us, with the people, the indigenous people, to speak up, demand for a referendum. It is our right. We must use legal means. We must seek legal means and pressure all of us, making each and every one of us aware of our right to self-determination. And that is what Oloye Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu together have been doing. And we must continue to support them. We must never relent. And once again, we urge President Talon of Benin Republic to rethink and look at the facts that we placed before him. He is interfering in, he is looking into, is going into a case looking at one side of the of what is really happening, not looking at the full picture. The reality on ground is that the Nigerian government is oppressing the people, and those who are being oppressed are not being allowed to speak up. And when we speak up, this is the kind of treatment we get. Again, I tell you now, the terrorists, those who are sponsoring terrorists, 45 of them, the government said, why haven't we seen their pictures? Why? But if it was IPOB now or Yoruba Nation people, we will be all over the news. They'll be taking a picture. We committed a crime. But those who have actually, there's got evidence against them. Why aren't they putting them out there? Why aren't they in court already? Why? Think about that. That is what we need to really continue to ask and demand. For that alone, that is clear evidence of why we need to go for a referendum now. As I speak to you, the government of the day, they have taken control of our resources by way of that fraudulent constitution. 68 exclusive items, the mining of our resources. They made it centralized. They put it in the fraudulent constitution. You and I, as people, don't have access to our own resources. Organizations who are millions of miles away in foreign countries have forced access to our own resources in our own land. Enough of this nonsense. We need to rip apart that contraption 9, the constitution of contraption 419. That constitution is an illegal constitution, and one we must vehemently do everything in our power to completely take away from impacting our lives any further. We have the right to self-determination as Middle Beltans, as Igbos, as Yorubas, and we must exercise that right collectively. I emphasize the word collectively. Now is not the time for us to be beginning to fight each other. And no, as Southerners, we need to stand together. And there is something for the Arewa people, the houses. You need to understand that you are being oppressed in your own land to a large extent as well. But that's for you to decide. But our focus in the South is to save our future, save the future for the coming generation. After 60 years of no electricity in that contraption, that is the clearest evidence of why it will never work. We must go for referendum now, and we need to use all our means, all legal means, all proper, appropriate means to get to dismantle, to separate ourselves from Contraption Nigeria, because Contraption Nigeria is a slave camp. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Please, when you get this broadcast, please do share, and share. We will be talking more and more about this on a regular basis. Once again, we urge you all, support our clamor for the immediate and unconditional release of Oloye Igboho. Support and continue to clamor for the immediate release of Nnamdi Kanu, who was illegally renationed. Support, as we speak, Oloye Igboho requires medical help, something the government of the day, they are displaying their inhumanity. The government of the day in Contraption Nigeria is displaying its inhumanity by preventing Oloye Igboho from going to get the medical help. Something that even as we speak, some of those people who are supposed to, some of the leads, the presidential candidates who are supposed to be running for presidents in Contraption Nigeria now, they are abroad getting medical help. But they're denying a man who speaks for his people, Oloye Igboho, the same privilege, the same opportunity, not privilege. Because healthcare should be a right for all of us. In Contraption Nigeria, healthcare is not a right. It's been turned into a privilege. Healthcare should be a right for each and every one of us. Electricity should be a right for each and every one of us. Roads should be something, a right for each and every one of us. Good schools should be a right. Not have 2 million children out of school in Lagos, and you give scholarship to 2, and you think, oh, you've done a great job. This is all falsehood. It's time to wake up. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Please, when you get this broadcast, please share, and share. Once again, we support Oloye Igboho. We demand his unconditional release. We support Nnamdi Kanu, and we demand his unconditional release. And we say to the government, release those 2 men. Allow Oloye Igboho to go and get his medical help. Enough of this injustice. We must together, Southerners, Middle Belt, Yorubas and Igbos, work together and dismantle Contraption Nigeria. We need to go via referendum and, if need be, go to the court to prove the fact that we, the people, we have been illegally held in a slave camp called Nigeria because of the imposition of the promulgation decree number 24 of 1999 on the lives of the people that is impacted on a daily basis in a negative and impoverished manner. Our lives have been impoverished long enough. We are not poor people. We are rich people. Our land is full of minimum 40 mineral resources. Only 0.3% of those minerals form part of our GDP till date. Enough of this nonsense. We've got gold in our land and we're seeking gold in a foreign country. We've got bitumen in our land and they're importing bitumen from abroad. We've got 3 billion tons of iron ore in our land and yet we're going to import parts for cars. Enough of this nonsense. This is why we must dismantle contracts in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you all, join us in the struggle. You're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'll be back later on. Thank you and goodbye.